Hello, fellow space engineers. I'm back here at the asteroid shipyard, and whoa, oh yeah, this was damaged. I am deactivating our fleet, basically putting it in long storage. I'm gonna try the approach that Mad Mike uses in his videos. Well, if I can get out this door, which is basically have one capital ship and smaller vessels to do tasks like mining, repairing, building, or exploring. And I would be on the move. As you can see here, this is the captured and retrofitted military escort, which is under repair right now. This executive transport that we found, we have yet to decommission it. And the capture mining carriage also that we use for prospecting and mining. All of them are going to be here in storage for the time being. I'll plan to take a long trip, maybe not that long that it would be too hard to get back, but I'm making sure that the ships are protected from the enemy drones, the enemy attackers, because I may turn on the enemy destroyers and cruisers, and I definitely want to keep those ships protected in there. So what I'm going to do now is bring the Dung Beetle, which is, I have to say, my favorite ship of them all. And I don't know if I really can't remember if I ever share like the whole specs or the story about the Dung Beetle, but it's the only ship that we kept from our initial um, survival playthrough. And the Dung Beetle is basically a private sail that was modified. It was stripped from its solar panels. We integrated batteries and two reactors, actually, two small reactors. We moved the antenna from the front to one side, to make it flush so it can fit near large ships or space stations without, clipping it. We added a laser antenna, this collector system in the form of a collector at the top of its main compartment, main container. We added a blast furnace and an assembler on the other side, so it can repair and on top of that produce common pieces like the construction components, plates, tubes from the scrap that it collects from damaged or ships. We added these two oxygen tanks so it can basically support two people now. And it does have an airlock here in the cabin behind. Oh, this is new. So I just discovered some damage. There used to be a battery here. Well, now I know. Well, Dung Beetle needs to be repaired. So anyway, that's a Dung Beetle.
Low health.
What's that? The killer door. Okay, those are the dangers of playing with, these collisions in this game. So anyway, that's the idea basically. I'm gonna put the ships in storage, and I'm gonna hide this carrier under the asteroid, and then I'm going to move the station in a mid position like in a middle position between the asteroid and the blue station, which is that way. So it can act as a relay between the ships there, so we can have some remote control over them. Well, over the station, because I powered off the ships. Well, anyway, I'll keep you updated when I'm ready to leave. Okay, here comes another one. It's gonna be a few seconds until it arrives. Decided that I want to back up my drones with a fighter that I can fly, just because I just don't want to get bored. So I will fly my fighter, and if it gets damaged or destroyed, I can just use the drones, or vice versa. I could begin using the drones and then, as a last resort, use the fighter. So I'm gonna build one that I designed, and I'll tell you a little story when it's done. It has to do with the main idea behind its design. Okay, looks like it's passing away. Yeah, it's getting away from us, but I'm sure it's gonna turn. Well, the drone jumped away, so it didn't come back. It's time to start building this fighter then. Hello fellow space engineers, today I show you the finished product. This is the FA3 Bullcat, and this is the design that I was working on 3 nights ago. I had this idea of designing a fighter, a heavy attack fighter, that would have a larger concentration of Gatling guns at the front, as well as rocket launchers, so it could launch a single attack against a weak spot, or let's say a critical system inside of a capital ship or a station, and completely destroying it in a first pass. And I had this idea that the ship, especially for the upcoming planets, that it would have detachable wings, because at this point in the game we cannot do the whole foldable wings like actual carrier aircraft do nowadays, because rotors. So I decided to give it this like interchangeable payload from a purely space-based fighter to an atmospheric based fighter, or like in between. so it can go from an atmosphere into outer space and vice versa. And I came to the conclusion that the best thing to do was to, add some merge blocks on the sides. And to my surprise, when I go in and I start checking the workshop, like I usually do, to find interesting designs and to, try them and tell you about them, I discovered that the user What the Geek, he designed a craft with so similar characteristics, like so many similar characteristics to this one. Like mainly, I mean, his craft is larger. It's like a larger attack fighter craft or like an attack bomber, and he uses several mods and he interchanges the wings with projectors. So you can project which payload you want and then build it. And it's really interesting how like two people can come up with a similar idea for the same problem, but I can see that happening when you have an issue that is unsolved in the game. And that's basically, how do you integrate sort of weapons into one fighter without, creating a jungle of guns and, cannons and launchers in a single craft. Well, basically you make those mission packages. And as you know, the mission package idea was being implemented by me and my friends in the Calypso that you see behind. And well, to some extent it's working. It's just that currently I've been unable to make the guided missile script work, which is, I think, is a great script. I have to get to it and see how can I make it work in the Calypso so it can launch those large ship torpedoes against the enemy invaders. So anyway, the mission package. So at this point, what you could do is integrate whatever mod you want or whatever weapon uh, from the vanilla game if you want, like on the wings, blueprint those and then project them from the projector that the Calypso has. I'm sorry, not the Calypso, the the bulkhead. You could do it with a larger ship too. So as you can see here, this is the basic wing that I designed, and it's being projected right now. I can just turn it on and off, and then build it with a large craft or a large ship installed welder instead of a carrier if you want. At this point, I don't see the use in building those because we're being in space. And to tell you the truth, the only benefit that those smaller, non-reloadable rocket launchers bring to any craft is space. And the reloadable one is comfortable because it just keeps reloading itself until it runs out of ammunition from your stores, but it's too big, as you can see in the nose of the craft. So it requires a large conveyor, medium-sized container to work, or maybe you can just fit it to a connector. But anyway, that will be like the smallest that you can get it, to fit in a craft, just on top of a connector. And the firing rate is actually kind of like the same from the reloadable ones and the non-reloadable ones. To me, that defeats the purpose of having these smaller ones once you have the reloadable ones. So they're kind of like unneeded. The only benefit that I see is that you can stack them, make like a big cube of them. But well, I don't know, if you don't mind how ugly a ship can be, you could do that. But it's just not my cup of tea. So I'm gonna stick with the reloadable rocket launchers for concentrated fire. These ones maybe I will install in smaller drones, or maybe create pods of them and put on the sides. But so far, spacing them out like this doesn't help either. So I think I'm gonna do without them for the time being. The bulkhead has 3 large thrusters, aided by 3 smaller ones. Sorry, losing my voice here. I decided to go for this design, this kind of like a streamlined modern design from the 50s. I was just looking at pictures of aircraft from the era, and I just like them, like the clean, rounded shapes, how they look like, like high-power cars or motorcycles, even actually a locomotive from a freight train at the time. I wanted to have this retro-futuristic look to the craft, so I went for it without, sacrificing much on functionality. I think so far the look is achieved. I mean, if you see the fighters from EVE Online, especially from the Galente faction, which is a faction that is entirely designed with this type of art in mind, this streamlined modern art deco, uh, early 20th century futurism, you will see what I mean. Or you can actually check the Fallout games, or even Bioshock. Well, anyway, that's what I was going for in the design. And this thing actually reminds me of a racing aircraft, the GB S3, if I'm not mistaken. It's this like tiny aircraft with this gigantic engine in the front, which basically makes the cockpit go all the way to the back, to the aft section of the craft, with this tiny tail fin. So it looks similar. Well, anyway, um, hopefully I will get to show you the performance of this craft against the enemy invader drones. So stay tuned.